Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Round the Horn. My name is Lee. Today's special guest is an up-and-coming singer-songwriter who just happens to be my daughter, Stella Mrowicki. Hello, Stella.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
It's been a while.
We're talking with my daughter, Stella Mrowicki, and Stella has established herself as a up-and-coming singer-songwriter. But let's give everybody a little bit of background so we know who you are, even though I know who you are.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I guess. So as a musician.
Well, I started probably, I guess I was like 14 when I started playing in clubs and stuff, right?
Right.
13,
Yep,
14.
exactly. Right.
And I've been doing it ever since. I make folk music, and it's been pretty much, God, I guess it's like 8 years now I've been doing it. I'm turning 22, so I guess about 8 years that I've been.
So when did you start taking music lessons?
I was 4.
4 years old, right? Yes,
4 years old.
You were forced into it.
I was forced into it. I took piano lessons until I was 12, I think.
Yeah, right.
And then I stopped because I hated instruction. I hated being told what to do. So it was better off teaching myself than having someone else tell me how to do it.
We have a photo somewhere of you on the first time that you had asked to have me show you something on guitar.
Yeah.
And it was an old guitar that we had, and there you were sitting, plucking away, and actually I showed you a few chords, and then you took it from there.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting back then. So you are an multi-instrumentalist. What other instruments do you play?
I play guitar, piano, banjo, ukulele, a little bit of bass, some drums, but not well, and harmonica. I sing, obviously. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to learn violin, but I'm not good at it.
So where did you start singing?
I started singing, I went to Catholic school for 10 years, and I probably started when I was in 5th grade in the school choir, maybe younger. I might have been younger. But I started doing cantering, and that's when I really started singing by myself. I was up on the altar probably every weekend until I was 13, until I graduated. Yeah.
So that's your first performance in front of a crowd.
Yeah. Big crowd too. It's pretty big church.
Yeah, that's right. So now what are your projects lately?
Well, I just finished an EP that came out in May. So right now I'm not really working on too much. I just finished moving because I graduated college, so I moved into my apartment. You know that. So I've kind of just been doing all of that kind of crazy stuff, not much music, but I'm trying to get back into it because I have a lot of half-written song ideas for another project coming up. So I want to get back into that. I'm trying to. It's been a little difficult because of the move and everything, but I'm gonna try to get back into that. But for stuff that's coming out soon or recently, I have that EP that's out on all streaming services online. It's also going to be available for purchase for hard copies soon on my website. But I also am a part of the Demos for a Difference project, which is in support of the NAACP education, legal defense and education fund. So all of the proceeds for that EP, which is going to be on Bandcamp, I believe, starting tomorrow, is going to go help the people who are fighting for equality within our communities.
Now let's get into some baseball talk.
Yes.
When do you remember going to a baseball game?
I think my first baseball game was probably the Blue Claws, but I remember the Yankees more so than I remember the Blue Claws. and I think I was 12.
You may not remember, but when you were a little bit younger, I used to take you on scouting assignments.
I remember going when I was in high school with you too, to the
Yeah.
scouting like the
Right.
scouting games.
Yes.
But I remember my first big memory of baseball is going to see the Yankees, and I think I was 12.
Right, at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
When the
Yeah.
stadium, I think, just opened up. It was
Yeah, no, it was like one of the first games in the
Right.
new stadium.
We had great seats there. They were kind to us in giving us some great seats.
Yeah, no, we had amazing seats.
Except that one of the remembrances of that game were the hot dogs. I remember 2 hot dogs and 2 sodas cost us
Yeah,
like
it's
$42.
like $50. My boyfriend and I went back not long ago, last summer. We went to see the Yankees and the A's, and we got 2 hot dogs and 2 beers, and it $60, I think.
Yeah, it
It was
could
more
be
expensive than the
expensive.
tickets.
Well, that's kind of what makes minor league baseball a great attraction for families,
Yeah.
because it's less expensive, except we're not going to have minor league baseball this year.
At all?
Nope, they have just canceled the season for all of it.
Wow.
Except that you're going to probably be able to see independent teams that are, for instance, up at in Montclair at Yogi Berra Stadium, the New Jersey Jackals, they play up there. In Bridgewater, the New Jersey Patriots, Somerset Patriots,
Wow.
they probably, because they're not under the wing of Major League Baseball, they're going to be able to play.
Well, they have their own rules and standards to follow. They don't
Yeah,
have
they're
to
independent of the Major League, so they
Yeah.
can do what they really want
Yeah.
to do. And hopefully,
Are they going to just do Major League without audiences? Is that what they're planning?
yeah. And I just heard yesterday that, and I think it might be the A's, they're going to sell cardboard cutouts of people to be in the stands. So you have representation of yourself. And I think it starts at $49 and goes upwards from there.
That's not too bad.
You can't see it in person, but
No,
you
you
can
can't, but
probably
you
see
can be
that
there.
they'll probably show it to you on TV somehow.
Yeah. I guess for people with season tickets, that works. They probably like that.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a great
Yeah.
baseball fan, you're going to want to participate somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So, Yankees, your favorite team?
No, the A's are my favorite
The
team.
A's are your favorite team, and how did that come about?
Well, realistically, it came about because I'm a big Green Day fan,
Okay.
and they love the A's. So at a young age, I started getting into the A's.
We actually, your grandmother and grandfather used to live in that area, the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And my father was a big Yankee fan. And at the time, Billy Martin, who used to manage the Yankees, started managing the Oakland A's.
Oh, wow.
So he took me to my first Oakland game. He remembered back then the New York Giants when they were in New York, and they moved, when I was really young, they moved to California with the Dodgers. The Dodgers were originally in Brooklyn, and the New York Giants were playing at a field in Upper Manhattan called Polo Grounds.
Does that still exist?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Property's pretty valuable in New York.
Yeah.
But the reason why the New York Mets have the colors of royal blue and orange is that royal blue was for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the orange comes from the New York Giants. So they combined the 2 colors when they became a new franchise in the National League.
That's really interesting. I didn't know
because the colors for the New York Giants was black and orange, and the Brooklyn Dodgers were blue and white. So they took the blue and they took the orange and combined it together to be the color. But
and the worst baseball team, but
right. Any favorite players?
I not really, not recently. We saw I don't really even know who's on the team now because they're all young. They're young and new. but we saw the A's over last summer, so a year ago now, and we saw a fluke game. They were there for a weekend. We saw the only game that they won. and to me they played great, but because they won by a long shot too, but they brutally lost the last games, so they're not a good team.
Well, they used to be a great team,
They
and
used to be a
for
great
long
team.
periods of time, they were a championship team. In fact,
Mhm.
they were in the World Series against the San Francisco Giants when the earthquake happened in California. And I became friends through some guys that I knew here in New Jersey with Walt Weiss, who used to play for the A's.
Okay.
It's a shortstop. And he was a really nice guy. He came to New Jersey to visit, and we had met at the Stone Pony. But he was on the field actually when the earthquake hit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he said it was one of the most amazing feelings that everything was shaking. And the first
Yeah.
thing the players did was to look for their wives in the stands
Wow.
to make sure everybody was okay. And then, of course, the game was canceled. And I visited California and San Francisco to visit my parents, your grandparents,
Mhm.
a little bit after that. And I remember seeing the streets in San Francisco all buckled, all
Yeah.
sorts of ways. And
Yeah.
your grandmother remembers seeing the fires. They lived in an area across San Francisco Bay, and they could see the fires that were like at the Pier 39 and those shipping piers there,
Mhm.
because the gas lines had broken and they were on fire. And she remembers seeing the chandeliers swing back and forth
Mhm.
during
God.
the earthquake.
Oh,
So
that's
it was an amazing situation. And I remember being on the bridge after it had been repaired, the Bay Bridge, which
yeah.
connected the two parts of Northern California.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because you still saw some of the damage back then.
I'm sure some of it's still there.
It might be. I'm not really sure. I think it's pretty much. San Francisco had another earthquake way back when, and the entire city had burned. So it was
Yeah, I did
rebuilt
know that.
twice.
I did
It
know
was
that.
rebuilt twice. But the A's back then, I'll tell you a story, and you might have heard this one when your mother and I went to a game. And
Okay.
it was my birthday. We were in a restaurant that was frequented by Joe DiMaggio a lot when he played. It was in the Little Italy section of San Francisco. So I said,
Okay.
well, what if I make a phone call and we go see a game, and I'll tell them it's my birthday. I'll tell them I'm a scout and see if they get us some tickets.
Mhm.
So made the phone call, and they were very gracious and gave us 2 tickets in the family section behind home plate.
Mhm.
So here's the funny part of the story. Your mom being very fashionable, we're sitting in those seats, I'd say about 20 rows up from from home plate. And Mark McGwire, being the home run hitter he was having some back problems. And I said to your mom, I said, the reason why he's got some back problems is his pants are too tight.
Mm.
Back then, the players wore skin tight uniforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first time up, he strikes out. Second time up, he strikes out. Third time up, Mark McGwire strikes out. Fourth time up, I tell your mother, something's going to be coming because he's due.
Yeah.
He's just absolutely
Yeah.
due. So all of a sudden, he gets up and boom, he hits probably the longest home run in
Wow.
the Coliseum in Oakland, the Oakland
Yeah.
Coliseum history. And everybody is going crazy. And she looks at me and she said, "What happened?" She was busy looking at some of the wives and their haircuts.
Yeah.
She was thinking about getting her haircut. So that's a
Oh
cool
my
story.
God. That was the 90s? or the 80s?
Yeah, yeah, it was,
90s?
yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
think what year it was,
Yeah, she was going through her weird hair phase in the
93,
90s.
94 it was.
Yeah.
But we had great, great seats, and I said, watch out, because he's due, and all of a sudden, boom, there goes Mark McGuire hitting one into the
Just
stand with a bad
no,
back and all, and he just launched it. Back then, they were making some construction repairs, and I'm not sure whether it was from maybe it was from
the earthquake.
earthquake, but I'm not really sure. They were, they used to share the Oakland Coliseum with the Oakland Raiders, the football
Yeah.
team. So some of the stands had to be closed off, and they put like black plastic that looked like a big old garbage bag
Yeah.
that covered half the center field stadium, and that's where he hit it. So there were
Oh
actually
wow.
no people there.
Yeah.
They started scrambling to try and run to go and get that ball that he hit, because it was so fun. So what else do you remember about going to see baseball games?
Um, well, I don't this isn't going to see a baseball game, but I remember you and I would go all the time to the park in Jackson.
Yes,
You
right.
remember this? And we would play, just
Yep.
the two of us. That was fun. Um, going to see base. I mean, I remember Blue Claws games a lot. That was we went to a bunch of those.
I still have your Blue Claws jersey,
Oh
which
my God, really? How
it's
small is it?
small, kids small.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that I'm trying to think of somebody I can give it to. I think Greg Short's son may fit into it, but he's getting big.
Mm.
He is right now.
I
But
still have your I have your A shirt.
right, and
Your
you have the
torn up A shirt.
two hats.
Yeah, I still have the hats. Yeah.
The first hat was actually from the when my father took us to games, and we bought a hat. I think we each bought a hat there. And back then, the colors were different. The
Okay.
colors for the A's back then was Kelly green and white, which was a brighter green than it is now.
Yeah,
Now the hats are a darker green,
and yellow.
hunter green, and gold.
Yeah.
But last year, they actually brought back the bright green again, the
Yeah, I
Kelly green
remember that.
uniforms.
Yeah.
And they were also kind of unique in that back when, Reggie Jackson used to play for the A's
Hmm.
before he played for the Yankees.
Hmm.
They had these sleeveless jerseys. They were called vests. So they would wear a t-shirt underneath with the green, and the
Yeah.
shirt would be gold. And they used to have variations. They were one of the first teams to have variations of uniforms to play, because most teams would have a white uniform for home and a gray uniform for away. But then
Okay.
they started adding a green top, a gold top. At one point, I think they also had gold pants.
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ricky
They were
Henderson,
ugly as all hell.
Ricky Henderson, and I think they now call it the Ricky Henderson Field. Ricky Henderson had set the record of stolen bases when he was with the A's. Oh, no, I'm sorry, when he was with the Yankees.
Hmm.
But he was always a great base stealer. And the A's were one of the first teams to wear white shoes,
Wow.
which was strange.
That is weird.
The A's actually were a transfer from a franchise that was in Kansas City. They were the
I did
Kansas
know
City
that.
A's.
Yeah.
And we had as a special guest Ben Runyon, who
Yes.
remembers when, and he had a hat on during the interview, of the Philadelphia A's.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, so Philadelphia moved to Kansas City and then moved to Oakland.
Wow.
Now
Oh, that's so wild. Wow, they've traveled.
there's some talk actually now of them moving outside of Oakland
Mm.
to San Bruno or something like that, because they're having problems with the stadium,
Yeah, I'm
or
sure
the
they.
lease for the stadium.
Yeah,
And
I
the
I
Oakland
think
Raiders had just moved.
yeah, the Raiders just did that. It's sad because that community really needs the income
What was
from
really
that.
strange, when we used to fly into Oakland from Newark,
Hmm.
we used to pass by the Oakland Raiders headquarters. and their actual slogan for the Oakland Raiders was "Commitment to Excellence." So, most of your aunts had lived out in California as well too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. There you go. I had cut it up because I thought that was cool.
It was cool. It
It
still
was.
is.
So when we had actually started playing baseball, and you were actually, pretty wild into the game back then too.
I know I was.
You wanted uniforms and everything.
Yeah. I
I
loved it.
Yeah, and you became a baseball player without any coercion of any
Yeah.
sort from me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you actually wanted to run the bases and slide into home, and
Yeah.
it was a fun time.
It was fun. I loved doing that.
Now, strange as that may seem, back in the day, the Oakland A's had a minor league team in Jersey City, New Jersey, where I was born.
Wow.
And they were there as the Jersey City A's. And so they played at old Roosevelt Stadium.
Okay.
Roosevelt Stadium has a history because it had been built during the Roosevelt administration. And if you look at your history books, there was something called the WPA.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a way to get people to get back to jobs. And most of the jobs were in construction. So in order to give people work, they built stadiums. And they built them all over the place. And most of them were named Roosevelt Stadium for President Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Not Teddy. So back then, this was a 35,000 seat stadium in Jersey City, and was on the waterfront.
Okay.
And you and I have been in Jersey City a few times, and we've gone to some stores that were near the waterfront.
Yeah.
The waterfront in Jersey City was famous for mosquitoes.
Uh-huh.
So one of the first teams that ever played in Roosevelt Stadium was called the Jersey City Skeeters.
I like that.
Because of all the mosquitoes. In
I
fact,
like that a lot.
when we were kids, we would go to the drive-in theater nearby, and they would give you these things you would burn in your car to keep the mosquitoes away.
Oh my God.
But here's the history lesson of Roosevelt Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Robinson broke the color line in Major League Baseball with his first game as a minor leaguer for the Brooklyn Dodgers in Roosevelt Stadium.
Wow.
He was playing for the Dodgers minor league team in Montreal. And they were playing in Jersey City. So that's the history of Jersey City, and going back to the Jersey City A's, but the history of it is that Jackie Robinson broke the color line in Jersey City with his first game playing for the Montreal Royals, which actually was, it was actually the, I got to kill this phone. We'll have to do an edit there.
That's all right.
I'm going to count back down. 3, 2, 1. So for, the breaking of the color barrier in baseball, it was Jackie Robinson playing as a minor leaguer for the Montreal Royals, which was a minor league team for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
That's crazy.
And then he got called up to Brooklyn, and then he broke the color barrier in the major leagues. But his first game as a professional player was in Jersey City.
That's incredible.
Well, we have run out of time, Stella. It's great talking to you about music and baseball. And I want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy day. And best of luck with your projects.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Our thanks to Stella for being our special guest today. Her website is www.stellamrowicki.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week.